This week's podcast is based on Shorties number 2, Manshon in Japan, where we talk about Japanese homes.
Alright guys, so what is in Japan today?
In Japan, well, I just found out, right, like every one of us sits during office hour, right? I mean, we have tables, chairs, and your laptop just right in front of you.
Yep.
And apparently I found this company, it's called Iris Oyama. I don't know where is it based on, somewhere in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They do plastic stuff, selling pet foods and whatnot. But that's not the case, But I just seen this news where, working there, you are actually only allowed to use your computer on a standing desk. So you actually have a work desk which has no computer, and you have a standing desk that there's a computer, a PC there. It's a PC standing desk.
So everybody works by standing up.
Yeah, everybody works by standing up.
That's pretty cool.
There's a trick to that, is that to use the PC, you can only use it for 45 minutes.
Right.
So after 45 minutes, you gotta get back to whatever you're supposed to do.
So they advise like you use the PC 45 minutes, then they encourage you to walk somewhere else, take a break.
That's what they say, They encourage you to move away because they think that first thing, you'll be more productive. You won't spend a lot of time on the PC. You move on to do the next stuff.
Wait, what is the daily task? I mean, like, what are they supposed to do? Like, don't they have to base their work based on computer the whole time?
Yeah, I think maybe they have more paperwork, I guess. Paperwork related. So if you have paperwork, you're going to sit down and do your paperwork stuff. But if you have something to look for in the net, or you need to print some stuff, you probably need to stand back up again and use the PC.
Any idea how big is the size of this company?
It's a huge company. But they are only trying it in one of the offices, I think, right now. It's a new practice that they're actually trying to do.
But they have like more. How many PCs? I keep on having this impression that only 45 minutes is so scarce. So there's only one PC. So
I think in every two person's desk, there's one PC. So there's probably like maybe 50 staff and there's 25 PCs. And here's the catch: you gotta share the PC. So if I'm using 45 minutes, you just sit your ass and wait for me.
You mean right? On your personal desk, there's gonna be chairs for you to sit.
Yes.
Only that sharing PC
is just right next to your work desk.
Man, that's pretty old school. That's like you got 2 person and you got 1 PC. What do? It's like, well, you gotta like use PC like how you used to play games, 4 hands on 1 keyboard. that's like old school, man.
And you gotta do it really fast, whatever you're doing.
That's really good times.
Yeah, good time. I was thinking like, what if I was sitting down waiting for my turn, and I have nothing much to do. I finished my paperwork, and I need to use the PC, and my manager is actually looking at me doing nothing. What should I do?
And the funny thing is that the manager is doing nothing because that's how he's looking at you.
Maybe the manager is also waiting for his PC. Someone else is using it.
He'll be standing over there like, he's been using for 30 minutes. He better be productive.
Yeah.
But manager-wise, I heard that if you are the ones that really need to use PC, like your job requires a full-on PC mode, then you're an exception. You have your own PC.
So this is like a new initiative the company had just introduced.
Yeah. New initiative.
But standing offices, standing desks, it's not a new thing.
It's not.
In the West, they often use this in those fancy offices, corporate office.
Stand and work.
Yeah. It's a improved lifestyle kind of thing.
In fact, I'm actually practicing it.
You're doing it
for about 2 years now. After lunch, because the thing is that you eat so heavy during lunch, you feel so tired, and I mean by the time you sit down and then you have the 3 o'clock dread. You know what's the 3 o'clock dread?
No.
And after lunch by 3 o'clock you'll be tired. So you'll be fishing. Your head will like go down and up and down, and it's like fishing. So it's like super tiring. And ever since 2 years ago, I decided to like just after lunch just put my laptop in a place where I can put and stand at the same time.
Right.
And I've been practicing. It's quite good. You totally don't sleep.
I guess it's to lessen the feeling of sleepiness after your lunch. You, especially those days where you're having heavy lunch,
heavy lunch break.
You're gonna be
yes.
feeling sleepy.
I mean,
Yep.
besides people who do this, like after lunch and they stand up, they actually squat at their desk. Have you seen people squat?
oh
squatting?
no, man.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy, you know.
It's just to let the blood flow right.
Because
and
sometimes
squat.
when you work in like cubicles, you don't really have places to stand, so you only got your own desk.
Yep.
So what you do is that you just squat at your place, and you just
Just-
work. It's sort of like
just do your own business.
It's sort of like you've seen how watches are being made. Have you seen the workstations of how people make watch?
Oh yeah.
They
sit.
they basically have a flat surface like a table,
Okay.
but they sit with the only height that they reach. It's how do I put this? Basically, they have their face at the surface of the table, and then their arms at the surface of the table. It's like they have to
Oh,
extend
it's like
their
they're-
shoulder.
it's like swimming that you're floating.
Exactly,
Like, by the wave,
exactly.
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
That's not comfortable, man.
That's not comfortable. That's why watches are so expensive. I mean, like they have to put the product really close to their eyes, and it's precision.
Precision,
Yeah,
yes,
they
yes.
are handling very small micro pieces of
Yeah.
gadgets.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely can't do that right after lunch. You know, precision is not
precision.
the right thing that I can do right after lunch.
But good for the company to do that initiative. I mean, I hope it's a genuine initiative whereby like I want everyone to improve their lifestyle rather than, guys, I'm just gonna cut like half of your PC and I'm gonna limit your usage, cut costs and stuff like that.
And be productive, okay?
Yeah.
To make things better, I'm gonna remove the chairs so you don't slack off.
I mean, like lots of things are being changed, and one of the things that I read in Today in Japan is moving on to another thing is
Right.
that genderless people in Japan, genderless, boys and
What?
girls are choosing to be genderless. I mean, not only is the country like what they like to call sexless, but it's genderless too.
So there's no males and females. There's just a thing.
That's
Yeah. What do you?
okay. What is that thing about? Somehow people there. I mean, not everyone, but some certain people they want to be genderless, so they're going like they do not want to be labeled. So you start seeing men dressing like women and women dressing more like men. But
Right.
to me, the idea it's sort of like you see people who say they want to be genderless, but it seems like they're just trying to dress like the opposite sex. But and actually that's how this whole thing started because men doesn't want to be limited by what they want to wear. So there is a movement. They start to have a movement whereby men can just wear makeup
Anything. Okay.
and all this kind of stuff.
But isn't this thing okay? Is it just okay? So is it just in Japan? And isn't this thing started since the era of ex-Japan? Guys can already start putting on makeups and long hair and all.
I think there's a huge difference because as I was reading about this, like it's not. I mean, David Bowie does it.
Oh yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, like the days of glam rock or glam metal.
Yeah,
you have
glam,
men
yes.
dressing someone like a drag queen, not really women.
Yeah.
So ex-Japan, I think it's sort of like the same, but you kind of go into an area right now where it gets a little bit blurred. That's why you got a lot of traps.
Oh.
Yeah, you get a lot of
right.
traps, and traps meaning to say guys who are really, really appearing like women, and you might be deceived.
Otokonoko.
Otokonoko, yeah, we even have one
Yeah.
Shorties about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way I see it, it's sort of like maybe they do not want to be labeled, maybe they do not want to be restricted. But it's just somehow it seems like for men they're just trying to dress more like women, and for women they're trying to dress more like men. That's how
Yeah,
I'm seeing.
it's basically about freedom.
Maybe,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you say, you don't want to be labeled, but at the same time, you want to be labeled as genderless. So it's kind of
Yeah.
contradicting.
I mean, if you don't call him boy or girl, what do you actually call
Yeah.
he or she?
And
I don't even know.
and that
Yeah.
pops up a very good question. How do they fill up forms?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one
I
thing.
mean, if it's a blank space where you feel, I think that's okay. You can write something up, right? So
Yeah.
if a form that
Others,
comes up,
yeah.
male or female, you gotta take one of them. So what are you gonna take? You gotta take both.
Another instance where I think this is gonna be funny is when you want to go to the toilet. Let's say you're a guy.
Yeah.
You self-proclaim genderless. It's just you getting away with wanting to go to a female toilet and just like acting normal, wearing makeups and shit. But actually, like you're hiding a very big boner. Just don't want people to see it.
I just didn't want to be labeled. I can still use any toilet.
No, it's-
anytime I want.
It seems like this is the thing that's not only going on in Japan, but on the Western side, people do not want to be labeled, So you're trying to like remove all these labels and stuff like that. Why? Because they're millennials.
Yeah, I think it's
Which
only
is
happening
a
at this
label.
time.
Yeah.
A la- I just can't get. I just can't get this. It's like everyone's just trying to turn things their way, like in a different way.
Well, I hope we don't fall into a trap then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Then
legit, right?
let's get into the main topic of today. We are actually going to talk about Manshon, and we'll explain what is a Manshon actually. Manshon is another term for like apartments, buildings, but there's a rough indication of saying is it luxury or not, and we're going to talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what inspired this topic today.
Yeah.
And it's actually from our volume 2, one of the very first shorties
Yeah.
we ever did. It's
Early
about
days.
manshons in Japan, and it's basically about the misinterpretation of the West and the East.
The word
between the
manshon.
word manshon.
Yeah, and actually Vince came up with this idea, and I find it very interesting at the time when he first told us the story about this.
I think it's a little bit hard to not get this right because when you see mansion or mansion is how they say it. Basically, the word mansion it came from English word, definitely.
Yeah.
So when you talk about mansion, you think about big houses, homes like that. But but when you actually see the real product, you really get surprised like why is this and how it all happened was that you serve Airbnb and some and of course some Airbnb hosts are Japanese and they're probably not so good in English, but and you perceive they're not so good in English because they try to type in English.
Yeah.
And then when they write the mansion word and you see a great deal and you're in a holiday mood, it's like, hey, why not? It's like until you go over there, you experience not only is it a small place, you got to stay with a host as well. It's like, what kind of mansion is this?
What did I got myself into?
And another thing is like the pricing. Why is it so cheap to live in a mansion?
Yeah.
Like there's this one article that I read about an athlete. So he's from the West, and he went to Japan for training. I think it's around 3 months. So what the coach did was prepare his accommodation as they should, because if you come there without accommodation, you're screwed. And when he saw his accommodation from email, it's listed as manshon. So having the Western perception, he's saying like, I'm gonna live in a big ass house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the coach picked him up in the airport, they arrive at the place. He's like, where's this house? Is it behind this apartment?
Is this the toilet stop?
Yeah, it's like a rest stop or something. But actually, that's the place he's gonna be living in.
Yeah.
It's the apartment itself, and most people will be disappointed. But that's the culture,
And that's what they call it. I mean, a mansion is what they call is a condo. It's essentially a condo, but
Yeah.
any idea why is it called like that?
They were saying it's that they call it manshon is because it was a marketing term used in Japan for new building that has more spacious and more luxurious part of the house. I guess maybe more furniture and they added. And manshon is always about buildings with more floors, high-rise kind of floors. So yeah, it's a marketing term that they use, and that's why they're actually borrowing words from Japan from Western side using the word manshon, because of its luxuriety.
Yeah, I think the angle of manshon it straight away gives the perception of a big house.
Yeah.
But
And
maybe
it's for
it's
families.
not. Yeah.
And-
It's for families.
I mean, like before it's called mansion, the other version that they will use the term is just apartments or apato. That's what they call it. And well, what's the difference between apato and mansion? Mansion is just basically much more solid. I mean, like, it's built with materials that make sound a little bit much more confined. I mean, like, it's as meaning to say that sounds doesn't penetrate too because they use thicker materials and it lasts longer. And apatos are made out of prefab materials, basically materials that are manufactured before, and then they just come in and compile it. So
Right.
those kind of stuff actually doesn't last as long as a mansion.
Right.
So you think of yourself as like a single kind of person, and you're renting. and you're like in 20s, you just got your career started out, so you don't want to buy a house that you're gonna stay there forever. So you rent an apartment. An apartment is like a temporary kind of place where after some maybe 20 years, the whole place will be rebuilt. So that's why they don't use such a strong
that's efficient
kind of material.
So they can recycle that lot.
That lot, yeah.
Right.
So mansions is sort of like if you're not single, you have family, you get a mansion, and as well as it's a marketing term.
Right. I've seen aparto kind of houses. It's always usually 2 floors. Yeah, it's 2 floors, and I always get this perception because I watch a lot of anime, right? And the perception about people staying in aparto are usually singles.
Yeah,
and the ones
those
that don't,
hermits.
hermits that don't go out of the house. And when you go into the house, you either see like stacks of porn magazine all around, or you'll see like figurines and all anime or manga related stuff all packed around the house. This is a perception that I have.
Maybe that's why they
look at
call it
that.
mansion, because in Manshon, you don't find things like that.
Yeah.
You don't find things like porn magazines lying out of nowhere because you got
class.
kids. That's class because there's kids,
Yeah, it's
and you got a
probably-
wife.
It's probably secretly stashed in a room, like hidden wall or something, because it's a mansion, right?
Or probably like one of those floors. Like, did you know like houses in Japan, like their floors are elevated?
Oh no.
Oh.
Why is that done?
Because I'm not so sure. Maybe pipings or heatings, or basically there are some things they place things on the floor so that you can actually maintain it. So it's actually elevated. That's why you never jump in a Japanese household. You don't jump, you don't party, you don't have like Lil Jon coming in, and then you start jumping.
I guess could we say like it's probably for earthquake prevention as well? Like you have another layer just to protect the house, probably.
Well, that's I'm not too sure. I mean, like there are other stuff that helps protect earthquake, but for the floors, well, I mean, okay. Besides the floor having a space, I mean that's also a place you sleep on. So you probably,
that's true.
So you probably need it to be heated or something like that.
It's good, especially during winter time, right? When it's so cold, you just need something really very hot to warm you up.
To follow up, that's where you keep your porn stash.
Under the floor?
Yeah, under the floor.
It's not gonna burn the book. It's gonna heat up.
To keep warm.
You have like secret pin codes, some areas that you put pressure on and will open a secret compartment on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh.
No one can ever find it.
But interesting point that you presented where, it's built on, I wouldn't say cheap materials, but just reusable materials.
Just cheaper.
Cheaper compared to Manshon.
Affordable.
Yeah.
So does that mean they have like time limits for the buildings? Let's say each 10 years they have to demolish and build a new one?
I hope so. Then they will really drive out the weed, the weird people, and stuff like that.
They
Go get
scatter
a
like
new home.
cockroaches.
Well, I'm not quite sure, but maybe I don't know where those lands where they build houses and they rent out to people. Maybe they want to sell the land by the end of the day to some other people, and it's easily demolished.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole houses thing going on right now, not only in Japan but in the world, it's that everything is prefab. Like everything is manufactured parts by part, and then you just go and assemble them. And then when you don't want it, you can just take it out like Legos.
Yeah, it really sounds to me like Legos. It's just, hey, I'm gonna dismantle this part tomorrow and just gonna take it off just like Lego bricks.
But doing it like that, it doesn't sound safe to me. As in the parts, then just assemble. You can take it off like, I don't like this area of the house. Let's just take it off, replace it with something new. The term taking off
parts by parts.
Parts by parts doesn't sound safe.
Oh, I think when it comes to Japan, we can actually like rely on their ingenuity and their safeness, because I mean, like a lot of their buildings are earthquake resistant.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I mean, like temples and shrines that has been built many years,
all made by woods, right? Just made of wood.
Yeah, and they still stand to today. And Japan, a lot of 58%. Oh, fun fact, 58% of homes in Japan are built from woods, because wood is actually helping the building to vibrate better. So it actually prevents earthquake. I mean, the technical side of things is that they put logs of woods underground, and then they will absorb the movement of like the earth, before translating those energy back to the home. And God knows, maybe they have like some kind of like awesome technology where they can transform the earth energy into like, I don't know, reusable energy or shit.
I guess wood is also more flexible than concrete. Wood
Yeah,
is
yeah.
bendable in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
To
Yeah.
a certain extent.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
It doesn't crack
Yeah.
as fast as concrete.
Yeah, that's why they say there's a very high earthquake
I
resilience.
don't know
you know.
about that. Wood not
I
cracking
I mean,
as fast as
it
concrete.
It can bend,
Oh.
before it cracks. But
I see.
concrete is very solid. It can't bend at all. So it's straight away
Maybe he's
cracks.
talking about real quality.
I'm not.
like super
I'm not talking
hard wood.
about durability in the material.
Okay, here's a
I'm
question.
talking about flexibility.
Here's a question. Who would win in a battle of punches between Iron Man and Groot?
Iron Man.
I kind of got a feeling that Groot will win because he can go around it.
Even if you break a wood, you can just grow up another one.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe when the wood cracks, it just grows back, stronger, filling in the cracks.
Faster,
Yeah.
stronger.
But that's actually quite good. I mean, like not only they use wood to build homes for this kind of functional reason, but it also gives a zen feeling. And Japanese homes, they're all about zen. A lot of things that is just simplicity and minimalist. And if you notice, like apart from some places or some interiors that are overly finished, you see a lot of designs that are just based on minimalism. In fact, the whole Japanese thing is based on minimalism. Like, I would rather have a space. I mean, that's just me. I would rather wear the same T-shirt kind of guy and have only like two finishes in a space, like just a table and chair.
Yeah, something really very simple. Just more space.
A zen.
Yeah. I mean, actually, if we were talking even about exterior itself, right? Every building looks the same.
Yeah.
I mean, like every apartment looks the same. It doesn't look super fancy. It's not like one is looking like fancier than the
The
other
word
one.
you're looking for is humble.
Humble.
Humble. Yes, humble.
Maybe the factories are just not manufacturing, diverse kind of design. Maybe
Yeah.
one should just come and hey, we now sell polka dot walls.
Oh
That
god.
makes it much more special. Yeah, and
It seems like you like polka dot walls.
polka dot. No, not for me. Not for
Not
me.
your kind of thing.
Not my kind of thing. But
More like invincible walls.
that would be great if my neighbor is someone and they were saying that someone actually quoted in where I was reading from an article, right, saying that homes in Japan are usually built with summer in mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's four different seasons for Japan, right? So you want to keep summer in mind because summer is so hot, it's so humid, right? It's really unbearable. Most of the time when it's so hot, I just cannot stand it anymore. They built tin walls, on the houses, and they actually have, what do you call this? Longer eaves. It's like the top of your roof. You have the
Right,
longer eaves so that
okay.
it actually blocks out the sunlight from coming into your room,
Right.
or any part of your house, like your rooms and all. And even when you've done that for summer, it do good for winter as well.
Yeah.
And it still chills. It's not that cold. It won't be that cold. It won't be that hot.
There's a phrase that says that you can live anywhere during winter. As in, like, you can wear enough of layers, you can get enough of heat conditioner. What do you call it?
I think
Heaters.
Heaters. You
Yeah.
can get enough of heaters, but when it's summer, no matter how naked you are, you're doomed.
Even if there's air condition, you will still feel the heat.
Yeah, I mean, you still gotta walk out
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? And you still gotta face the heat no matter what.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, if they build houses based on summer, it's mostly going to be made out of wood then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it says. I mean, like most houses are built out of wood, right? And with that in mind, I guess they can build it in a thinner layer. Don't have to build a solid concrete wall, I guess.
All right, here's an interesting thing about Japanese homes since we're talking about it. Well, I mean, Japanese or a lot of Asian countries, you have to remove shoes when you get to the home, right? But there's actually a higher philosophical aspect to it. There's a big reason to it, and it's quite meaningful. Not only do you have to remove your shoes, but the house is built in a way to exemplify that motion even much more. And here's the thing: when you remove your shoes, you'll notice something at that area. The place where you put your shoes versus the place you step into the house, There's an elevator.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
All right, and why is because of this? Well, socializing. You know, Japanese people are very